I'm going to share my screen because I spent way too long prepping slides, which I'm always like, you know what? This is such a time suck, but I love teaching with slides. So, humor me and hopefully you're also enjoying the slideshow that I created. It's not spectacular, but it's here. Okay, so we are going to chat about all things marketing today. And for those who I have not met, I've met a few of you. Shanae and I chatted last week, which was awesome. Few of the other ladies who said they might be jumping on later, I got to have a conversation with. But if I have not met you yet, then I hope to eventually have just a quick one-on-one. I love getting to know fellow entrepreneurs and people who are inside of Hype Club. So I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled that I get to act as the resident marketing coach to all of the amazing humans inside of this community. So just like any great presentation starts, I want to start with a statistic that might scare you. Did you know that 50% of small and medium businesses have no formal marketing plan? What the heck, right? And I know we're all like, oh, statistics, like where does she even pull this stuff from? But seriously, whether this statistic is accurate or not, it is still quite alarming because without any strategy, without any paperwork, without a living, breathing document where you are recording what the heck is going on in your marketing department. And maybe you're still a team of one. So you're like, I don't have a marketing department. Well, yes, you do. It starts today. But there needs to be some sort of strategy or what I am going to refer to as a playbook. The place where you document what's going on, where are you creating content, what's working, what's not working that you need to stop doing ASAP. And so when I first saw this statistic, I was like, you know what? There's definitely a place for me as a marketing consultant. So I'm just super thrilled to be here today and to chat marketing with all of you guys anytime you want. So just to give you some imagery on what this looks like, if we do not fix this problem of having a marketing strategy, this is what our world looks like. Your business doesn't exist. All the beautiful brick and mortar shops don't exist. And I just don't want it to slip this far. So let's get that marketing playbook in place. Of course, we only have an hour here together today, so we can't do it all, but I hope to at least lead into an intro to marketing, really start to give you a vision for how this playbook can come together. And then if we have time, I'm going to start sharing a couple marketing strategies that you can get started on right away. So of course, you guys probably already know this, but marketing is one of the most important links between your vision as the founders of your companies and the impact that you want to make. Right in the middle there, between your vision and the impact you're going to have on the world, marketing is part of that piece there, the link between the vision and the impact. So knowing this, I want to spend some time today getting really, really clear on how we can set our brands up to have a really good marketing strategy. And I'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. So I hope that sounds good. Just to give you a little bit of insight into where we are going, we're first going to cover the 3 M's that you need to solidify before building out your marketing strategy. So yes, there is a little pre-work that needs to be done. I'll talk about this a lot, but if your business is in a place right now where the foundation is a little bit shaky, and then you layer on top an epic marketing strategy, it's just going to come crumbling down, right? Because if thousands and thousands of customers come through the door, but your checkout process sucks, or your product doesn't work, or you don't really know who you're speaking to, so you get all these people buying it, and it's actually not the right product for 99% of them, that's not a good situation, right? So before I work with any client on a marketing strategy, I'm always like, we got to start with the solid foundation here, because if you're not ready for the growth that's coming when the marketing strategy works, that's going to be a disaster, right? So we don't want that to happen. So I do my due diligence just to make sure that your business is ready for the growth that awaits. Let me flip over here. We're going to talk about how to start building out your marketing playbook. And like I said, if there's time, I'll get into marketing strategies. And of course, in future workshops, we'll have so much time to dive into the strategies and how to set up a sampling campaign and an experiential strategy and blah, blah, blah. But today, let's just reel it back in a little bit and start with the basics. So before we dive in, I just thought I'd share a little bit about myself. I'm a creative marketer that spent the last 10 years working for some of Canada's top health food brands. I'm located here in Canada. I know there's some fellow Canadians in the Hype Club, but I think we're still far and few. So we got to attract more Canadians into this club. Uh, Dune, can you get on that, please? Maybe run some Facebook ads just to Canada. Um, 4 years ago, I left the quote unquote corporate world. I'm sure many of you have had that similar journey. And I decided to start a freelance marketing agency. There was so many brands that I wanted to help, and I would meet them all at trade shows. And I thought, you know what? The company I was working for at the time, they weren't taking my marketing ideas seriously. So I was like, you know what? I can do this alone. So left, started a little freelance agency. Today, I get to work with a lot of private clients, small and medium-sized businesses, and I help them to implement a foolproof marketing strategy for their business, both online and offline strategies. So I love talking about, what's happening on the ground when you get to sell to your customer in person, but also we live in this global economy, right? Where you have the potential to reach people who are halfway across the world from you. So how do we use marketing to reach them? And when I'm not talking marketing, I am drinking espressos, I'm riding my bikes. I love cycling, mountain biking, gravel riding, all the things, and paddleboarding on the river behind my house. But anyways, that's it for me. Let's move on to the presentation. So if you want to share any bits of this presentation, just tag me if you want to do an Instagram story, or, I'm on all the socials at Kelsey Rydell. So easy to find me and easy to connect with me if you wish to do so. All right. And I'm lining my iPad up with this presentation. So if I'm just tapping down here, it's because I'm trying to get the slides to keep up. Okay, so before we can start on your marketing playbook and before we explore creative ways for you to reach your dream customers, we need to talk about the 3 M's, okay? The 3 M's. So we're going to be talking first about the mission of your marketing, and I'll cover that momentarily. We're going to be talking about the main ingredients required to mix up a great strategy. And then we're going to be talking about the mindset of a great marketer. And I know some of you are like, oh, do we really have to talk about mindset stuff again? And that's totally me. I'm not a mindset coach. I don't dive into that stuff, but there are a few things that I need to tell you about the mindset of a marketer, because when you can really drop all of these limiting beliefs of I'm not a marketer, I'm just not good at coming up with campaigns, I'm going to have to hire somebody, even though I don't have the money right now to do my marketing. I just kind of want to walk us through a little bit of that, because I've seen so many people there and I'm like, you are a marketer. There is no one better than all of you on this call to figure out how to connect with your dream clients. I firmly believe that no agency could do it better than you. You are the visionary behind your brand. And so the mindset piece is definitely really important. And then once we have those 3 M's, that's when we can really start putting together our marketing playbook. So let's dive into what those are. So let's talk first about the mission of your marketing. So I'll try to go through this stuff rather quickly, but please ask questions in the chat and I can circle back to them at the end. Just so that you don't forget, or just type question, and when I have some time, I'll call on you. So to understand, part of the mission that you have as the chief marketing officer of your brands is to understand that, first of all, marketing comes in all shapes and all sizes, and that I would say our world is way too complicated to implement one-size-fits-all strategies. So I'll say that again. I believe our world is way too complicated. Your customers are way too complex for you to be running one size fits all, out of the bag strategies. Yes, there is a time and place to buy the blueprints, to buy the copywritten templates, to buy the, whatever it is that is being sold to you on the internet. But again, even when we dive into consumer psychology, why we buy, why people give their scarce attention to your brand, things are really complex. So I just want to give you that permission and encourage you to include in your mission that you do not have to follow the one size fits all templates and can instead kind of branch out of the box and do things your own way. Second part of the mission behind your marketing should be to help customers make an informed decision about whether or not they want to spend their hard-earned money with you. So the goal here is never to pressure people into buying something that they don't need, or putting that unnecessary scarcity or just those harsh tactics that may have been taught to all of us in the past. What we're doing with the mission of our marketing is really making sure that we are educating people, informing them, and giving them the purchasing power to make that decision about whether our products are the right fit for them. The third mission of your marketing should be to always focus on the problem that you solve, right? You all have a product, but you're selling the solution to the problem, okay? So most people out there, they don't need more stuff in their house. They don't need more products, but they do need solutions. So I want you to keep that as a key part of your mission. And finally, the fourth piece of the mission should be to always be keeping a keen eye on what's working and what you're attracted to right now. So I keep a folder in my inbox, and then I have a little bookmark tab on my computer called Marketing Gold. That's just what I've called it. And every time I devote my attention to something, I either bookmark it, or if I get an email that I love, I slide it into that marketing gold folder. If I'm on Instagram and I see a post, you know how you like scroll, and then all of a sudden you stop. Maybe you see the female startup club post and you're like, oh, and then you stop and you read it. As a marketer, you need to be like, okay, I need to save this post or screenshot it, put it in my marketing gold folder, because there's a clue there that you are, giving attention to that post or that email or that website. And then I want you to study that and mimic it in your marketing strategies as well, right? Success leaves clues. And so starting now, I want you to make those marketing gold folders on all platforms that you hang out on, and just make sure that not only are you consuming content, but also you've got that like analytical brain now of the marketer saying, why did I just spend 3 seconds looking at that, right? That's really important. That's good stuff. And it's always changing, right? So the mission needs to be to always have a keen eye on what's happening in the industry. When my friends buy things, they hate me so much because I'm always like, so was it a referral? Is that why you bought that product? Why did you go to that chiropractor versus the other? Oh, because it's in walking distance. Oh, because they had an online booking system. Cool. So like you can just ask those questions and it's going to give you so much insight, more than you could ever gather in a book or, by listening to a podcast, just studying the world around you. So I wanted to make sure that I talked about the mission of your marketing. Another aspect of your mission should be to imagine that all of your marketing efforts can be cozy and intimate. Like you are constantly trying to have these one-on-one personalized conversations, shoulder to shoulder, with customers who need your product. So I put up this picture of this cozy little cabin because I think so often we think that marketing is like, okay, I need to like get up on my soapbox and preach or shout at people. That's not working anymore, right? That's why TV ads, radio ads, the mass marketing approach is not necessarily where all of you are going to be putting your time and your ad dollars. You're going to be looking for those personalized interactions, those ways that you can connect with a customer that feel cozy, where you just feel like you're sitting with a friend. And when they say, hey, what's your favorite, brand of XYZ? And you're like, oh, actually, like I just tried this product and it's amazing. And it's just, again, this intimate experience. And that's what we need to be looking for as founders and as entrepreneurs, is how can we bring that intimate experience into the online space or into our sampling programs. It's not about shouting or yelling at people or, preaching at them. It should feel cozy, intimate, and there's so many ways that we can do that. The next M that I want to cover, so we've talked about the mission. Here we go. There's my Thursday brain happening. Now we're going to talk about the mindset of a marketer, okay? So I want to show you this picture here because a good marketer is always experimenting. And remember, where your customers spend their attention is always changing, right? So we need to keep experimenting, just like a scientist does, in order to keep up and to stay current. So the reason why I want to say that the mindset of a marketer is to always be experimenting is because it gives you permission to fail. Not all of your marketing strategies that we are going to implement and create together are going to be raving successes, right? Sometimes we have to experiment only to realize, hey, our customers actually don't hang out on TikTok. We tried it, we did the best we could, but the data is in. The experiment has run its course, and it's okay that it didn't work out. And then what we're going to do is remove that effort, or, write why it didn't work in our playbook, and we're going to replace it with something else. So that's what we'll be doing together, is constantly iterating, improving, experimenting, because not all experiments produce successful results, right? Sometimes they bomb. And so I want to make sure that your mindset is not, I'm a failure as a marketer. It's that failed, on to the next, right? And I know it takes time to get there, but it's important. And literally the definition of experimentation, you can see at the bottom, is to determine something. So it's okay to determine that it didn't work. So I just wanted to point that out. The third M that is part of the pre-work that we need to do before building out our playbook is the main ingredients. So like I said, the truth is that we can't layer a marketing strategy on top of a very unstable foundation. So we need to make sure that the main ingredients are in order. And, whether you're watching this training live or you are, watching this years down the line and you're just starting your business, this part is important to always come back to, because I think we can always be reflecting on how we can improve these 4 main ingredients. So we have to cover this before we dive into the marketing strategy. So ingredient number 1 is having a remarkable product. And I think all of you sitting here today do. You already have a remarkable product. Noah Kagan, the founder of mint.com, which is massive online financial tracking company, he says the secret to marketing is building a great product. And it's true. That is one of the foundational elements. Of course, there's a lot more to getting people to actually find out about your product. But if the product isn't good, no amount of marketing can sell it. So we just have to cover that off, although I think everybody sitting here today has a remarkable product. Just as a funny little anecdote, Pepsi one time tried to launch Pepsi AM. It was a morning beverage that you were supposed to order with your eggs, your bacon, your toast. They did spend millions of dollars on marketing this product, and it just didn't work. There was not a market. It was not a remarkable product. So we don't want you to be the Pepsi AM. So make sure your product is good. Make sure it's needed in our world, right? The next 3 pieces of your foundation, making sure you've got these main ingredients in place. Of course, knowing who your products are perfect for, because how can we properly craft a marketing campaign if we have no idea who we're speaking to? So this is more like foundational business stuff. A lot of you would have covered this off when you wrote your business plan, but it is important to reflect back on the question of, do I know who I'm speaking to? When I'm about to market my awesome product, like, do I have that avatar in my head? And am I very clear because I've talked to them? I continue to meet them. And if not, make sure you go back to that basic. Another main ingredient is what I call your unique brilliance of your product. This would be kind of like your unique differentiating factor, right? Do you know why your product is different than all of your competitors, right? Do you know why you're the North Star of your industry, like that bright light that stands out for a certain group of people? Do you feel very clear on why somebody should, go with your brand versus every other? Because if you don't, you're kind of playing in that, like what I like to call that commodity field. Like, if all the coffees are grown in the same plantation and they all have similar branding and they all say they're organic, they're all just a commodity. They can only charge the same price, right? Because none of them stand out. But if you make a coffee that's, organic, fair trade, it's shade grown, it's from a single plantation, there's a story about the farmer, you connect them with, that's the unique brilliance. It's like all about the story and the mission behind the coffee. So it no longer sits in that commodity territory, and it's all of a sudden valued in a different way. So, of course, if you've written your business plan, you've probably explored what makes my product unique. Your unique brilliance is really important in crafting a strong marketing campaign, because oftentimes in the way in which you talk about your product, you're emphasizing that unique brilliance, right? I'm just going to go and mute. Just hear some background noise. Okay, that's good. And the fourth piece of the main ingredient mixture before the marketing strategy would be making sure that your whole, really the whole experience moving through your brand is frictionless. If you've ever read the book Traction, which I think maybe some of you have, it's a great book, by the way, he talks about this concept of reducing friction. So say you're running Facebook ads to your scrunchie business. And when somebody clicks the ad, it sends them to this really messy landing page, but they're like, oh, I'll figure it out. They find the scrunchie they want. They can't tell if it's in Canadian dollars or US dollars or Aussie dollars. They don't know if they're paying tax. They can't figure out where to put the coupon code. Friction, 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 friction. Why are we sending thousands of leads a day to a really messy funnel or a really messy purchasing process or really messy anything? This is something that is so often overlooked. It's like, just put $1,000 in an ad, a Facebook ad, to send to a really crappy checkout process, because your conversions are going to be, 0.001% when they could have been 7%, 8%, 10%. So I hope that before you, really elevate your marketing, you also think about your goal, which we're going to discuss today. Say your goal is to collect 10,000 email addresses so that you can sell to them by the end of the year. Well, if somebody gets to your landing page where they put their email and it's just not easy to type in their email address, and the page loads really slow and the button doesn't, then what's the point? So I'm not going to hang up on this one today, but please just write down the word frictionless and make sure your business is frictionless, and have your friends go through, if you have a goal to sell X amount of products, have somebody go through as a test subject all the way through the checkout process and ask them to give you critical feedback, right? Because I don't want you to be marketing if it's going to lead to nothing. Okay. So now let's talk about the playbook. So if you're not familiar, a business playbook or a marketing playbook is really just all of the pieces and parts that make up your company's go-to approach for getting things done. This is often used in sports analogies too. They have a sport playbook. And a playbook can include processes and workflows. It can include standard operating procedures, can include your quarterly goals, your annual goals, but it's basically a document, in this case for your marketing playbook, that houses all of the key information, what you've tried, where you're currently focusing your efforts, the key performance indicators, the budget that you have. It's really meant to be this living, breathing document. And all of us should be starting to assemble our marketing playbook. So that's what I'm going to help you with. It's literally just the blueprint of how your marketing strategy is going to be implemented. And then I want you to forward think a little bit. Imagine you go from a one-person team, and then next year you wake up and you have 20 people on your team. Wouldn't that be nice, right? Well, if you hire 3 or 4 people to be doing marketing, either you have to recap everything that you've done over the last year or last 5 years, or you could just say, read my marketing playbook, right? Because you've kept track. You've already told them TikTok doesn't work. Our email list converts at 10%. Go there. We partnered with 7 influencers in 2019, and all 7 sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of our products. So please reactivate that strategy. You could pretend you're going to remember all of this, but chances are like you're busy, you've got a billion other things going on. So this can be that document that you're like, read the playbook. This is your training. Now figure out what to do with it, right? So hopefully one day you get to pass this playbook on, like a gift that you'll give to the next generation. So let's dive into some specifics of this playbook. So the first thing that I should see, and let me just show you, I just have this image up here, just a sample of what like this living, breathing document could be. This was one that I'm creating with a client right now. It just kind of has a visual of all the places that we're hanging out. And then it actually goes into each of the channels that we're showing up, and it talks about a brief overview, who's the lead team member, the best practices, the optimization techniques, the key performance indicators, and just any other important notes. So her and I are constantly updating this with like little notes here. So I just want to show you kind of what it would look like in action. And then anytime we have a new goal, we look through the playbook and see, okay, how can we channel some of these strategies into the current goal? So that's what it would look like. And I'll have much more to share on this. So before we get into all of those key strategies and, you know, the channels where we're going to show up, we need to think about your goals. Okay. Like can't really figure out where to show up if we don't know what the goal is. So way before you start thinking about specific tactics, way before you start thinking about growth experiments that you want to activate, you should have some sort of tangible or measurable goal. And I know you've all done goal setting stuff before, but the goal helps you know what to do and what to say yes to. So like say an influencer reaches out and wants to work with you. If you have a goal, you'll know, okay, that either leads to my goal or wait, that has nothing to do with us growing our brand this year and nothing to do with our marketing strategy. So I want you to take a sec to think about your goal. Do you have a goal for your marketing? Do you have a goal for your business growth? Do you want to grow traffic to your website? Because you know that everything comes from search engine optimization for you. So maybe you want to grow your traffic from 0 to 50,000 unique visitors a month. And that is the goal. That's amazing because then we can make sure that all of your marketing efforts actually reflect that growth in organic search traffic. Or maybe your goal is around the number of units that you want to sell. So maybe you want to sell 1,000 units over the next 6 months. Okay, we can definitely use a goal like that. And we can make sure that our marketing efforts lead to selling more of our product. Or maybe your goal revolves around, for a lot of you, it's probably building your email list, right? So maybe you want to build your email list to 10,000 people. So that way we can, you know, think about strategic techniques to grow the email list. And then you're going to think about ways to convert them. So I want you to write your goal down. Eventually, this will go inside of the marketing playbook. But this is going to help to really make sure that you stop feeling like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, or if you feel like you're just trying loads of different things on an ad hoc basis with your marketing strategy, and you don't really know what's working and what's not. It starts with defining a goal, and then we can modify the specific tactics and the growth experiments. So I'll give you like 20 seconds here to write out that one goal. Of course, you can have more than one, but for the purpose of going through this training, you might just want to write out that one goal so that we can kind of build our marketing playbook around it. Okay, so now that we have a goal, we need to start thinking about those tactics and growth experiments that are going to funnel into the goal and to contribute to the goal, right? Because if you want to sell 1,000 units of your product in the next 6 months, we kind of want to have a variety of efforts that are all leading into selling. So maybe your email brings in 200 units over the next 6 months. Your like shoppable Instagram makes 300 sales. You partner with a celebrity who sends you 400 sales. And you can start to see, oh my gosh, my goal of selling 1,000 units is possible because I have 10,000 people on my email list, and to sell 200 is totally reasonable. And I have 40,000 people following me on Instagram. So to expect that I sell 300 units, totally reasonable. Like I think a lot of people go with their marketing strategy as they think it's all just like up in the air. Like, let's just like throw something out there, a fun campaign, but they don't understand how to kind of put data around what we can expect from that. But there is a way to visualize it. And so that's what I'm hoping to kind of make clear. So now that we have the goal, I'm going to explain something to you and then we're going to draw it out together. So I'll give you a little sample of this. So I'm going to explain your multi-channel marketing strategy using an analogy of a bike wheel. I like biking, but I know not everyone maybe understands a bike wheel. So I'll explain it to you. So what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen. And what you're going to do is in the center, so right at the center of a wheel is called the hub. The hub is going to be that goal that you just wrote down. Okay. So write your goal inside of the hub. So if I am a scrunchies company and I want to sell 1,000 units, I'm going to write 1,000 units sold by August 2022. That's at the hub of my wheel, right? Then you can see that in this bike wheel, there's like the actual wheel part or the tire that goes all the way around the hub. It's like this big circle, right? And that is a representation of the constant revolving door of potential customers that are in the world right now who could be ready to buy your product or who are being primed to eventually need your product or who are literally waiting for this scrunchie to launch and they're so excited for it. And this is always revolving because there's new people being born, there's new problems being had, and you have a solution, right? So this is really an infinite number of people. Then you can see on the wheel too, and you can draw that big outer circle, okay? You can see on the wheel as well that there's things called spokes. So all those little wires that connect the hub, your goal, to the wheel, which is the infinite number of people who could potentially purchase your products, right? Who could become fans of your brand. And your job as the marketer is to make sure that there's enough spokes coming off of your goal that when people are moving about their day, encountering marketing messages, reading their emails, talking to their friends, there needs to be strategies, spokes that are strategically set up to send people down into your offer, right? If you think about a bike wheel, where a lot of new businesses end up is that all the spokes start breaking down. And if there are no strong spokes, like you're really not putting any effort or intention into any marketing effort, everything feels like it's kind of ad hoc. You're not really doing anything consistently. All of your spokes are either broken or about to break. And then there's literally no way for people to purchase. You're not giving them an opportunity. You're not reminding them. You're not educating them. But when you have 10, maybe 20, maybe right now just 5 really strong, solid spokes, and we're constantly assessing the performance of them, you have a business, right? You actually have the wheel turning, moving forward. And so oftentimes when somebody comes to me and they're like, my sales are shit. I'm like, okay, well, let's draw this out. And I'm like, you literally have one spoke and it's an email list and it's been dead for years. And you think that that's going to bring money into your business? Like it's not even, where do you think these mystical people are coming from? So we have to start adding spokes, right? And doing some experimentation and figuring out where is that strength? Where is those marketing efforts that are producing results consistently that we need to make sure we're showing up for, creating the content for, etc. So this is going to be the foundation of our marketing playbook, because what I'm going to have you do right now is basically draw out a very fancy diagram of your goal in the middle. So sell 1,000 neon scrunchies by August 2022. And then I want you to start writing on each spoke the marketing efforts that you currently have going on. So some of you probably have like 20 things. You're like, Instagram Reels is one, Instagram feed posts are another one, email list is another one. Any way that you are currently sharing about your business, about your brand, about your products, I need you to write it as a spoke. Okay. So there's no right or wrong amount of spokes right now. Some of you have 2, some of you have 200 because you're experimenting with everything. I don't know where you find the time in the day for 200, but it's possible, right? There's so many ways to spread the word. So before we can analyze what's going on, I need you to write out all of your different spokes. So I've just given you a little sample here. And feel free to get really micro with these spokes. Like I was saying, like you don't just have to write Instagram as one of them. You might want to break that down into reels, stories, feed, because all of those kind of like, yes, they work synergistically, but at the same time, they're all performing very differently. So if it feels right to make them unique spokes, so that you can analyze their performance in a unique way, then you can do that. So I'll give you like 30 more seconds to just finish off as many spokes as you can. You'll probably miss a few. No problem. You can always come back to this. And if you're not visually inclined to draw it as a wheel, you can just write this in a Google Doc as well. Marketing effort 1, influencer campaigns. Marketing effort 2, paid ads, and just do it line by line. Okay, so now that we have the spokes drawn out, what we need to do is make sure that all of the spokes that you currently have in place tie into the big goal. Because it's nice to have 500 goals set out for your business, but if you are a small team right now, it's really overwhelming if it's just you or whether it's 2 of you or 3 of you to have so many goals that your team or you is like, I don't even know what we're doing. What are we trying to accomplish this month? So look at all of your spokes and just ask, does this tie into my goal listed into the center? And if it's not a clear, like, yes, this is going to help me sell more units, then just ask yourself, okay, well, why am I doing this then? Because of course there's, also brand awareness. Like that's important, but that's not necessarily going to lead immediately to selling more units. But you might think, okay, but that's still important for nurturing people. So I just want you to take 1 minute to have a critical eye. Do your spokes contribute to the accomplishment of the goal? And if it's not a clear, yep, then just take a second to ask, why am I doing this then? And maybe there's one spoke that you just need to put an X through right now. Or maybe say, we'll come back to this in 6 months. Okay, then we need to give each spoke a score, okay? So what we're gonna do is beside each of those marketing efforts, we're gonna give it a score out of 10 in terms of how strong it is. So let me explain this first before you take some time to do this. This is so that we can see where the weaknesses are in your marketing strategies and your marketing strategy, but also where the strengths are and the opportunities that we can double down on. Because if you're realizing that Instagram feed posts are bringing you 90% of your business revenue, maybe you need to amp that up a little bit and get a little more creative with the strategies there, because you could double your sales just by doubling down on Instagram. So I want you to, so again, we're going to rank each marketing effort, so each spoke out of 10. But how we're going to come up with this score is we're going to think about it in terms of ease of implementation. So that's going to be out of 5, where 1 means that this marketing strategy is really hard to implement. Like maybe it involves a lot of work, you don't have the bandwidth, it's very challenging, you don't have the skills, whatever the case is. And a 5 is that it's easy to implement. Of course, anything that's easy, that's not going to cause burdens on you and your team or constantly be issues, that's a good thing in our books, right? Again, I know most of you are small teams, so we need to keep things simple. So that's going to be the first 5 points that you could potentially give to each spoke. The next part of it is for the results or the impact that it is having on your business. So like, is it actually driving revenue by doing this? Is it leading to accomplishing that goal? Or is the impact, like the potential for impact there? So maybe it hasn't produced millions of dollars yet by working with influencers, but perhaps you have some really keen insights or data that this will work. We just need to do it a little bit longer. So that's going to be out of 5 as well, where 1 is that there's like low results, low to no results, no impact. And 5 is high impact, seeing results. So what you're going to do is with each spoke, you're going to ask yourself, is this easy to implement? Actually, yeah, it's very easy to implement. So maybe give it a 5. And then you're going to ask, is there any result or impact coming from this? And you're like, actually, I've literally seen nothing. So, you have to make a decision here of like what that number is. So maybe you're like, it's not produced anything, nobody's paying attention. So we give it a 1, or maybe we give it a 0. So your score for that particular marketing effort would be a 5. So you rank it a 5 out of 10. So take a couple minutes here, go through every single spoke that you wrote down and score it on ease of implementation and results. Come up with that score out of 10, and eventually you should have a bunch of scores out of 10. I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, so with this system that you're going to go through, whether you finish now or you have time later today, you're basically looking for the spokes with the highest impact and the easiest implementation, especially if right now you feel like you are throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. I want to help you simplify before we start adding on new layers to your marketing strategy, right? Because I could suggest things to you all day, but if you can't like simplify first, you're going to feel overwhelmed with the recommendation of any new marketing campaign, any new strategy or tactic, because you'll be adding it on to an already messy playbook, right? So when you look through these scores, again, you're looking for things that are easy to implement or that you have, help around implementation that are driving results and leading to impact. So if you have things on your wheel right now that are scored at a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, you need to circle it or highlight it and ask, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? Is there going to be a return on investment? And if no, it's time to just exit out, eliminate it. The spoke is broken. And you know what happens when I break a spoke on my bike? I go get a new one, sometimes a better one, a stronger one, the newest technology in spokes, right? So I get to actually have the space to put something brand new in. But we can't do that if we don't clear out the clutter first. So that's just why I wanted to take you all through this exercise, just to put that critical eye on, like, what am I actually doing? Does it lead to the goal? And am I doing things that are just too complicated that yield no ROI? In that case, just nix it right now. Because we're kind of running low on time, I think I'll save like the starting on new strategies. I was going to talk about experiential today. Let me just flip over to my slides. I was going to get into experiential today, but I